Welcome back to Gaskets, and we're going to be painting the engine, or some of it. Yes, I've determined that we're going to just be painting the finned element of the cylinder head. We're going to be doing that matte black, and that involves taking these rocker covers off. We don't have to, we could mask them, but that would be complicated, laborious, and before I clean this all up, there was kind of evidence of potentially some kind of oil leak, maybe slight, so it makes sense to take them off, put new gaskets in, put them back on again. I did manage to locate some replacement gaskets again in the UK. All rather strange. Never really considered the UK as a major market for Moto Guzzi. Obviously Europe in general, maybe. But I always thought they were more popular here in the US. So meanwhile, we can take this one off, because we won't need the gaskets until we finish painting and all that malarkey. And then we'll put them back on with new gaskets. So while I'm doing that, you got time to subscribe down here somewhere if you haven't already, and if you think the video is any good at any time, give it a thumbs up. For God's sake, man, get on with it. And for my next trick, the plastic bag trick. One perfectly masked off cylinder head, rocker cover. Yeah, so I just put 2 bolts in back at the bottom and 2 at the top. Didn't do the other 4. That's ready to go. I'm going to look into getting some anodized red Allen bolts. I think that would look kind of cool. So they're both bagged up. Now what we have to do is mask off the rest of where we don't want paint to go, i.e. the rest of the motor and any bits of frame and that kind of thing. Luckily, this engine paint doesn't really have a vast overspray, so it's going to be fairly localized in terms of spillage. So we don't need to worry too much about the entire bike, just that area. Tricky enough though. Fairly rudimentary, but basically tore off 4 to 6 inch strips, strapped it all around the base of the cylinder there, and the carburetor to start with. And I'm actually using Ace's own brand of painter's tape. I've found it to be slightly stickier than other brands, which is quite useful when you're trying to stick it to potentially still slightly oily surface. So that's all kind of buttoned down. And when I actually come to paint it, I'm just going to use bits of paper or card to shield the rest. So nestle that up against the blue masking tape, spray that area, get another piece, move it around, spray that area. It gives you flexibility to get into areas that are tricky to get to. It's a little bit quick and dirty, I know, but it does the job, so what the hell. I did decide to bag up the carburetors as well, just to make life simpler. Meanwhile, I've had an idea for the rocker covers themselves. Yes, I'm going to clean them up a bit and paint those too, but a different colour. So stay tuned for that. And what I hadn't realised, is that one cylinder is slightly aft of the other. So the one on the right there is behind the one on the left, obviously, for everything to work properly. So on the right cylinder, we're bang up against that in terms of painting, which is going to be tricky, but we'll work it out. So I'm going to finish off the masking this evening, and we'll wheel it out tomorrow and paint it. And last thing to take care of is these bolts that go into the oil feed, because we don't want to plug up that hole there with paint. So we're just going to plug up the hole with a regular 8mm bolt. Stop the paint getting in the hole. That'll do. I've only got one full can of this high heat 2000 degree stuff, because we use the other one on the exhaust pipes. So if it's capable of doing 4 exhaust pipes, I'm hoping it will be enough to do both cylinders. If necessary, we've got a can of this semi-gloss, which I actually used on the Kawasaki motor, and I actually kind of prefer that semi-gloss. This is good for 500 degrees, somewhere there. Yeah, so that'll be the top coat if we need it. Well, of course, the day I want to do some painting outside, it's raining. Yes, it rains here about 30 days of the year if we're unlucky. Typical. I shall spend the time doing some more masking instead, actually. Better prep. Well, you know me, I did it anyway. It wasn't raining at the time. It's still wet, that's why it's looking glossy. It will be a matte finish, but not bad coverage. Cool. So we'll let that dry for a bit and unmask it and see what we got. As I said, I was thinking of painting the rocker covers. I was thinking of actually going gold, but I changed my mind. I had second thoughts. I don't think it would, I think it would be too much. I might paint them silver, just because they're a little bit grubby. I'm going to let it fully dry before I start unmasking stuff, just in case I don't like the matte black. We've still got some of that semi-gloss, enough to hit it with a top coat or two, because that took about half a can to do both cylinders with the matte black. So we've got plenty of semi-gloss if we need it. Well, there it is, kind of dry and matte black-ish. It looks grayer on camera than it does in reality, but I still think I like the idea of the semi-gloss. So I'll let it dry a bit more. If it's still not raining, I'll give it a hit with the semi-gloss. Well, that's kind of interesting. The more it dries, the blacker it gets, less grey, right? Still prefer the semi-gloss, I think. That's what I used on the Kawasaki. And the pipes. We'll have another look tomorrow. It's still kind of spitting with rain in a very English way outside, so I'm not about to semi-gloss anything. Meanwhile, on the red bolts idea, the only ones I could find were aluminum alloy, which is probably not a good idea for rocker covers with heat and aluminum and steel all mixed up. I don't know, not sure. Gonna check. But we could paint them. Not the whole bolt, obviously just the bit that sticks out the top. Maybe. Done. Well, yes, of course, we decided to go for the semi-gloss, and actually it's quite glossy gloss. All in all, a lot nicer. Right, let's get all that masking off, see what it really looks like. Yeah, so that's what that's going to look like. Nice, can't wait to get the gaskets in. Looking good. Definitely need to paint up these rocket covers though. Even better. In other bodywork news, I've been looking at bikinis. No, not those type of bikinis. Yeah, fairings. Kind of 850 Le Mans, Guzzi 850 Le Mans, a bikini fairing, which I think would obviously suit the bike, as did Moto Guzzi back then. The trouble is, I can't work out how scantily dressed the Guzzi should be. Any ideas? Love to hear your comments down below. A, B or C. Stand by. And on the subject of the frame and seat, before we start painting anything, I think we're going to modify it further. We're going to cut off a little bit extra of these. Something like that. Good news, our replacement gaskets have arrived all the way from the UK, and these are paper gaskets, so I shall be using some goop to put them in once we've painted the rocker covers. And I don't mean that goop, I mean that goop, yeah, some of that stuff. Yes, I'm reliably informed by Michael at IDR. If it's a paper type gasket, a cardboard type gasket, then goop is a good idea. If it's plastic or metal, goop is not a good idea. Well, I'm going to say goop is not a good idea, but silicon sealant. Silver paint's turned up. That's exciting. We can paint the rocker covers. We've been doing a lot of painting today. Yes, these boys. So let's just give them a quick clean up. Lovely. Well, the missus is away. She'll never know. Right, monkey? You're not going to tell her, are you? Out of the dishwasher, freshly clean. Yeah, what's that? Original casting blemish. We can probably get rid of that. De-blemished and ready for paint. Bloody lovely. Vastly improved. All we got to do now is pop on our new gaskets, and actually these old ones look in pretty good nick, so it looks as though they've been replaced at some point fairly recently. And the same on here. Job done, and very nice too. And I think that's about it for engine painting, at least for now. So if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Thanks as always for tuning in. If you haven't already, subscribe down here somewhere. And of course, encourage others to watch my lunacy.